It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this World AIDS Day commemoration and to act as a master of ceremony, I should say, a mistress of ceremony. The program of this event is as follows. We will have addresses from Dr. Loris, Dr. Chan, and our Director-General. And this will be followed by a short presentation by Gilles Maciolo of the exhibit located in the colonnades area. This exhibit is entitled Positive, Living and Working with HIV in Africa. After her presentation, we will proceed to the colonnades where our guests will join the Director-General in launching the Getting to Zero at Work campaign. This campaign was initiated by the ILO in close collaboration with the UN family and is meant to highlight the role of the word of work in achieving the goals of zero new infections, zero discrimination, and zero AIDS-related death. It's now my pleasure to give the floor to Dr. Loris.
Thank you all, and thank you, Guy, and our friends and colleagues in WHO for inviting UNAIDS to be here. I'm here on behalf of Michelle CDB. This is a very special World AIDS Day. We are getting now into a new time, a new era in the response to AIDS that we hope will be the last one. As I'm sure you saw in many places today, we are starting to speak about the end of AIDS, and we are sure that we can talk about that. We have the evidence to show that. UNAIDS just published a week ago our global report of the end of the year in collaboration with WHO, with Dr. Chan, where we brought the news that in 25 countries today, among them 13 countries of the most affected in Africa, we have a drop in the incidence of AIDS of up to 50%. That's big news in terms of the history of AIDS. Treatment, for the first time, we have more people getting treated today than people wait on the line to get treated. This graphic that I show, and you leave with Guy, is part of your report that's basically try to show the impact on treatment for somebody to get employed or not. And the line here shows basically that if you get on treatment, the likelihood of getting employment is much higher. This is part of the end of AIDS. We're on the right track. Zero death is related to providing treatment. Dr. Chan has been leading all of us on that. It's a successful story. I think we are learning a lot, including to deal with other issues on health. Zero new infections, we have progress, we should continue. But there is one that's probably at this stage the most challenging one, is the zero discrimination. I am dealing with AIDS, and I started to deal with AIDS as a doctor in the beginning of this epidemic 30 years ago. When my patients, I could not even have my colleagues to come to the hospital to treat my patients. I know what I'm talking about, the weight and what means discrimination and to the reality of AIDS. And I'm convinced with the experience that I have behind me that the final battle will be on guarantee the human rights of people living with AIDS and the most vulnerable groups. And to make that sure that we have that happen, we need to take this battle in every front possible. And I think the workplace is probably one of the most effective fronts to take this battle. As you have in your statement, now what's killing today is not anymore lack of treatment. The treatment is available, but if you lose the job, you die because of that. You have said that in your statement. It's a very strong statement. I was telling Guy, I have been involved on that. I'm particularly proud because I'm Brazilian. ILO in Brazil is involved today in a frontline project that's an example to all of us in the world, where they are discussing diversity at the workplace. And this discussion is being taken as high as the President of Brazil. The whole UN is aligned as on the spirit of UNAIDS behind ILO to take this forward. The government is taking that, and that is making a huge difference. Even a country that's known for the progress on the battle to AIDS. But there, they are already facing that if they don't take the fight against discrimination everywhere, you're not happy. Congratulations, Guy. Congratulations to ILO. Again, it's not only a pleasure to be here, but it's highly significant that ILO is taking this initiative. And you count with us, we count with the UN. I'm not in red, but I'm in blue. That's our color in the UN. That's the UN color. That means also the commitment of all of us to be behind you on that. But now, I think we are going to hear from the true champion on this.
Thank you, Dr. Loris. Now the floor is for Dr. Chan.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So nice to see so many of you in red. Louis, we love you in blue. Guy, and then of course Dennis, friends and colleagues, thank you for this opportunity to join you to celebrate our collective work and success, as you have heard from Louis, in this battle against HIV/AIDS. We have come a very long way. And of course, I want to congratulate you, Guy, and also your colleagues working with the UN family in this getting to zero at work. It's so important. For the first time, I joined a meeting where so many people were in red. I cannot stop but saying that as I came in. I was having a note last night. My very able secretary reminded me, would you please wear something in red tomorrow? I was searching high and low, up and down. What was the reason for that? I still don't understand, but now I do. Truly, red is, for my culture, is a color of celebration. And I think it is fitting in that respect. While we, need to work very hard moving forward to all the zero that Michel Sidibe, leading the UNAIDS, along with other UN agencies, are trying to strive to achieve, we do have good reasons for celebration. And you have heard from Louis, the number of people covered, the hope of having a new generations born without HIV/AIDS is on the horizon, and the list is long. But let me come back to the importance of workers, particularly healthcare workers. I'm biased. It is important for us to make sure that healthcare workers are also protected, getting the treatment they need, because we want them to be healthy so that they can provide care, treatment, and the whole spectrum of services to the people in need. Now, talking about the people in need, we should never forget about those people who are at this point in time still being disadvantaged and marginalized. And of course, giving people a job, giving them the medicine to keep them in job is so important. The statistics is very compelling. We must never forget that. And ILO is the perfect organization supported by the UNAIDS family to move this forward. So let me once again thank you for inviting me to join you. And what is even more exciting is I didn't know that I was on one of your posters. I thank the artists, and I hope I look younger than I am. But nonetheless, congratulations. Let's work together, get to zero for everything. Zero death, zero discrimination, zero infection. What else zero do you want? Not zero money. Yeah. Not zero money. We need more money, right? In order to get the medicines we need, to get the service we need, and for all the people. Otherwise, we are not in a fair world and a just world. On that, thank you. Guy, is yours now.
Dr. Chan, I can assure you, you're perfect on the picture. Now, my pleasure is to give the floor to our Director-General.
You'll say the same thing about me afterwards, I'm sure, Alice. Dr. Chan, Dr. Loris, Dr. Broen, to all of you who are not doctors, to Ms. McCulloch in particular, friends, colleagues, thank you for being with us. To our three particularly special guests, thank you for being here. thank you for your leadership, and thank you for playing in the same team as the ILO and letting us be part of your team. We're very committed to carrying on playing that role. You've heard that the good news is that collective efforts to bring an end to AIDS are paying off. They are paying off. The UNAIDS report just published reminds us of the progress that has been made. Just think, there were around 700,000 fewer new HIV infections than was the case in 2001. And as we've been reminded, 8 million women and men are receiving life-saving treatment. But challenges remain. In 2011, there was still approximately 2.5 million new infections. And in addition to those 8 million people I've just mentioned who are actually receiving life-saving treatment, there are still about 6.8 million more who need it, but have still to go without. So these are the statistics, these are the numbers, and behind the numbers, as we all know, are people, real men and women, some of whom we have come to know personally, and they're struggling for life and for dignity. There are real children shouldering cares which are beyond their years, often orphaned and sometimes forced into child labour. Now, colleagues, each of us as UN agencies, but also as governments and representatives of employers and workers' organisations who are the constituents of this House, has a role to play in ensuring that HIV status is not a barrier to the universal human aspiration to live in dignity. And a central means of assuring this, as we've been reminded, is through simply having a decent job. A job which gives income, a job with rights, a job with voice, and a job which offers access to social protection. And I, as others have already done, want to highlight that freedom from discrimination, which is a fundamental principle and right at work, is a basic starting point in getting to zero. Decent jobs also address many of the underlying vulnerabilities to HIV, because it reduces poverty and inequality, empowers women and young men, and provide youth with more stable and productive options for the future. And in addition, as we all know, the workplace is a place for awareness raising, for prevention, and for access to care. The ILO's own recommendation, its recommendation 200 on HIV and AIDS in the world of work, together with our code of practice, I think gives us real guidance on making workplaces effective gateways in getting to zero. And yet, as you know so well, we are called upon to make a renewed effort to confront the HIV challenge at a most difficult time. The global crisis has squeezed the world of work even further, producing job losses at increased vulnerability and threaten the gains that have been made. There are 30 million more jobless people in the world today than there were at the time when the crisis hit. Health, education, social protection, all of these budgets are under pressure, and we cannot afford to slip backwards. Through this event, the ILO, its tripartite constituents, the UNAIDS family, and others can and must reaffirm common commitment to pursue the fight against AIDS together, with mutually reinforcing policies and action centred on a diversity of entitlements, including jobs with income. Today's launch of our Getting to Zero at Work campaign is one way of expressing this shared goal. And I want to thank all UNAIDS co-sponsoring agencies for agreeing to join us in this campaign, which is going to run worldwide until the MDG target date in 2015. And you're going to see in the colonnades just down the way here a reflection of this support in the quotes on HIV and the world of work seen from the different mandates. Colleagues, through this campaign, we can also highlight the UN's HIV workplace programme through UN Cares and a group of HIV-positive colleagues, UN+. This shows how the UN is leading by example and gives the UN system, I think, real legitimacy to suggest, to propose, and to demand that member states, the labour movement, the public and the private sector do exactly the same thing. Finally, I thank UNAIDS for their support for our work and the WHO for the very close collaboration we have enjoyed and intend to continue in addressing HIV in the workplace. Jalise McCulloch, thank you for the inspiring paintings in the exhibition that we opened today. Art is a powerful medium, a great mobilising force, and it's much needed in this particular cause. And of course, let me finish by thanking our own team here at the ILO, led by Alice Ouadraogo, for organising today's event and the campaign. A lot's left to do. It will be difficult, it will be complex, but together we can end AIDS. The end is in sight. Let's keep working. Thank you.
Thank you, Director General. As announced earlier, I will now give the floor to Jalise McCulloch, a colleague from UNAIDS and a talented painter, to say a few words on the exhibit. Jalise, you have the floor.
Mr. Ryder, Dr. Chan, Dr. Lewis, Dr. Brun, and Alice. And if I was in Africa right now, I would say all protocol observed. I am greatly honoured to be part of ILO World AIDS Day celebrations. I would like to thank the Director-General of ILO, Mr. Ryder, as well as ILO HIV programme for including my artwork in this exhibition. Art and painting is my voice, and with the use of this medium, I want to pay tribute to the amazing men and women living with HIV that I have met this year in Africa and who have shared their stories with me as part of my work. I am just a tiny cog in the wheel on the fight against HIV, a technical officer at UNAIDS, based here in Geneva and hosted by WHO. UNAIDS is a slightly bigger cog in the wheel, but a very important one. UNAIDS, through its funding, collected from the air ticket levy, works on markets to bring the best quality treatments for HIV to those who need them most. We don't have country offices and rely on implementing partners like WHO and UNICEF to carry out the work there on the ground. My work this year has been to visit a number of African countries and take stock of our projects, as well as seeing the realities of living and treating HIV in developing countries. I always travel with my camera, and each painting is inspired from a photograph that I have taken, and then I paint when I get home. I have met many people working in HIV this year, but most importantly, I have met those living with HIV and benefiting from treatment, those whose lives have been transformed by the work that each one of us has done as little cogs in this big wheel. There are courageous men and women who have accompanied me on my visits. We have travelled hundreds, no, thousands of miles together over the roads of Africa to visit clinics and hospital and to see UNAIDS work in action. During that time, they have shared with me their lives and they have become my friends. I have listened to their stories, their hopes, and their dream. Esnet, featured in one of my paintings, gave me this dress, and Lois made the jewellery that I'm wearing. You can read their stories under the paintings. It is for them that I want to put this work forward today and share with you the extraordinary lives of these women and men who are living healthy working lives, thanks to our work. They are in a way our achievement too. My World AIDS Day message today is that we need to keep all our cogs turning, for there is still much work to be done. More treatments are needed. Stigma and discrimination are still present, and new infections need to be averted. We must continue together to fight against HIV and get to zero everywhere. Thank you.
Are you ready? Can I give you the scissors back?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One more, really.
Finished, thank you.